This is why you need to know about Hitler's strange obsessions. Adolf Hitler, one of history's most infamous figures, is often remembered for his role in World War II and the Holocaust. However, there are many lesser-known aspects of his life that paint a more complex and bizarre picture of the man behind the atrocities. Today, we delve into 10 of the most bizarre facts about Hitler that you probably didn't know. From occult rituals to a Disney fascination, the Führer's life was a tangled web of contradictions. Hitler's interests and obsessions were as varied as they were strange. While he orchestrated one of the most brutal regimes in history, he also had a softer, almost childlike side that is often overlooked. This duality makes him a figure of endless fascination and horror. Hitler's fascination with the occult wasn't just a hobby, it was practically a quest. He believed that ancient relics and mystical artifacts held the key to immense power. This obsession with the supernatural was not just a personal quirk, but a driving force behind many of his actions and policies. He believed relics like the Holy Grail could grant supernatural powers. The Holy Grail in particular was thought to bestow eternal life and invincibility. Hitler's quest for these relics was not just about personal gain, but also about securing the dominance of the Aryan race, which he believed was destined to rule the world. Heinrich Himmler even led expeditions to find them. Himmler, one of Hitler's closest associates, was equally obsessed with the occult. He organized several expeditions to far-flung places like Tibet and Antarctica, searching for these mystical artifacts. These missions were often shrouded in secrecy and fueled by a mix of pseudoscience and myth. Talk about a twisted Indiana Jones adventure. While Indiana Jones is a fictional character, the real-life Nazi expeditions were no less dramatic. These missions were fraught with danger and often ended in failure, but they highlight the lengths to which Hitler and his inner circle were willing to go in their quest for power. Now, here's a curveball. Hitler had a personal library of over 16,000 books, including works on philosophy, history, and even Jewish culture. This extensive collection reveals a man who was deeply interested in understanding the world around him, even if his interpretations were often twisted and malevolent. His interest in psychology and manipulation ran deep, making it one of the largest known libraries of any dictator. Hitler's library was not just a collection of books, but a reflection of his complex mind. He was particularly interested in works on psychology and propaganda, which he used to manipulate and control the masses. This intellectual curiosity, however, was always in service of his dark ambitions. Next, despite his monstrous cruelty, Hitler followed a mostly vegetarian diet and enforced strict animal protection laws in Germany. This aspect of his life is one of the most puzzling contradictions. While he showed no mercy towards humans, he was surprisingly compassionate towards animals. Compassion for animals, but ruthlessness towards humans. What a glaring contradiction. Hitler's vegetarianism was partly influenced by his belief in the purity of the Aryan race. He thought that a meat-free diet would help maintain this purity. His animal protection laws were some of the strictest in the world at the time, reflecting his complex and often contradictory nature. Before his rise to power, Hitler dreamt of being an artist. This lesser-known fact about Hitler's early life adds another layer to his complex personality. He was passionate about art and spent much of his youth painting and drawing. He applied twice to the Academy of Fine Arts, Vienna, and was rejected both times. These rejections were a significant blow to his self-esteem and may have fueled his later ambitions. Some historians believe that if he had been accepted, the course of history might have been very different. His artistic failures possibly altered the course of history. The rejection letters from the Academy of Fine Arts, Vienna are now infamous. They represent a turning point in Hitler's life, pushing him away from his artistic dreams and towards a path of political extremism and violence. Hitler also had some strange phobias. He was terrified of dentists and paranoid about diseases, especially syphilis. These fears were not just minor quirks, but had a significant impact on his behavior and policies. This paranoia influenced his eugenic policies. Hitler's fear of diseases, particularly syphilis, was a driving force behind his eugenic policies. He believed that by eliminating those he deemed unfit, he could create a pure and healthy Aryan race. This paranoia also extended to his personal life, where he was extremely cautious about his health and hygiene. Though he avoided alcohol, Hitler had a serious sweet tooth, indulging in cakes and chocolates. This is another surprising aspect of his personality. While he maintained strict dietary rules, he couldn't resist the allure of sweets. Quite the contrast to his strict dietary rules. Hitler's love for sweets was well known among his inner circle. He often indulged in cakes and chocolates, which stood in stark contrast to his otherwise austere lifestyle. This indulgence in sweets adds another layer of complexity to his character. Finally, Hitler's fondness for Disney cartoons, especially Snow White, reveals a bizarrely innocent side. This is perhaps one of the most surprising facts about Hitler. Despite his monstrous actions, he had a soft spot for Disney cartoons, particularly Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Imagine the dictator sketching Disney characters. Surreal, right? Hitler's fondness for Disney cartoons is a stark contrast to his public persona. He even made sketches of Disney characters, which is almost surreal when you consider the atrocities he committed. This bizarre interest in Disney adds yet another layer to the enigma that was Adolf Hitler. These unusual facts show the twisted, contradictory nature of Hitler's life. They remind us that even the most monstrous figures are human, albeit disturbingly complex. Understanding these facets of Hitler's personality helps us see him not just as a one-dimensional villain, but as a deeply flawed and complex individual. They remind us that even the most monstrous figures are human, albeit disturbingly complex. These bizarre facts about Hitler serve as a reminder that history is never black and white. The complexities and contradictions in his personality make him a figure of endless fascination and horror. By understanding these aspects, we can gain a deeper insight into the man behind the atrocities and the factors that shaped his actions.